So what is happening with our cash and non-cash? We are all well versed in this topic, even at our everyday domestic level. During the pandemic, our attitude to cash has changed. The technologies have progressed greatly, and one of the leaders in this industry is Visa. That is, first of all, one of the biggest fintech in the world that played a great role in the development of cashless payments. I think the first card ever issued to anyone sitting in this audience would have been Visa, I'm sure. From the start, Visa, I would like to single this out. They've been supporting the fintech function at AIFC. When we only started back in 2018, Visa was already one of our major partners. And every year we conducted really serious social events. Visa Everywhere initiative where we support the startups, and She's Next to support women in entrepreneurship. This year, Visa is one of the general sponsors of AFD. You have been doing a lot to develop fintech. Again, I would like to ask the following. Does the pace of development match, does the pace of development of cashless payments in our region in Kazakhstan, does it match with the plans you have outlined for yourself and how the situation has changed within the recent 2 years? Thank you, Kairat. First of all, let me say how great it is for me to be with you. We haven't seen each other for a while, and this is such a great day when when I see a match between the two pictures, a person in Zoom and person in Flash. So it's great to just see you and talk to you. I'm sure you know this book, Malcolm Gladwell, The Tipping Point. You may have read it. If not, please read it. In this book, the author describes the trends and phenomena that seemed linear to us. At some point, they turn into disruptive growth, how it can be explained, how it happens. And I think that in digital payments, we have actually undergone this disruptive growth. The digital payments have passed their tipping point. We've been developing them, of course. Visa has been working on that for 6 decades. And we proudly call ourselves the first fintech in the world. Visa is the first fintech that created the first global payment network. And we've been doing that always. But our perception of how the payments go, that it's some steady growth, that it all changes steadily, not slowly, but very gradually. So all of that has been disrupted within those 2 years. Under the circumstances we've been facing, the digital payments have seen really explosive growth. But from all the negative factors from the pandemic, the digital payments have benefited. They have become a catalyst that happens once in a generation. We have survived a moment that actually influenced this digital payment so much. It's seen both on macroeconomic level, in statistics, and in our everyday life. Well, previously, if we think about the brightest trend that has changed in the pandemics is e-commerce. What was e-commerce for us before? That was Amazon, ASUS, books, probably. What is e-commerce today? It's everything. Starting from garments to study, the coffee you buy with your application and you pay via the application and so on. This is one of the brightest examples. Another example of how the payments have changed is for the development of contactless payments. Our life is now online to a major extent, but its big part is still offline, and it's so great to have you all here. And contactless payments as an element of simplified and speedy and safer payments is now very vivid, and the development of EPF and everything related to NFC has become the implications of what we have survived during the pandemic. So talking about how our life has changed, I'm telling you nothing new. The major trends are contactless payments and e-commerce, but what's most important is that our research shows that those trends, those two trends, despite the fact that we're coming back gradually to new normal, we are regaining our physical interaction. Those two trends will remain with us for a long time. And the companies, starting from banks down to retail companies that are not yet there, that are not uh, online yet, who cannot build the sales funnels, who cannot sell on internet, who cannot monetize their clientele over the internet. So their prospects are very dim, because the major driver of what we see now is the further development of e-commerce and transitioning online wherever it is possible and convenient. So this trend will remain, and I think it's important to take that into account. Thank you so much. Thank you, Christina. We will continue on those factors, on those drivers. I would like to pass the floor next to Nariman Mukushev. Why? Because Halyk Bank. So Halyk Bank is considered to be the company with the biggest number of branches in the regions. The provinces know them very well. And the provinces are lagging behind a lot on the level of cashless payments. They differ much from Astana and Almaty, like a 15% gap. It's quite significant. So what do you think is the reason for that? Is it that the technologies are not reaching them, or there is no money there, or or there is certain critical mass that do not want cashless payments, or some specific of regional economy? Thank you for your question. Dear colleagues, let me first share and echo what Christina has said. I'm really delighted to be here.
I've been missing these offline activities insanely, taking part in conferences in the Zoom when you see photographs instead of breathing faces, all those discussions in the cyberspace. That is a totally different energy. And because we're social based, and breathing communication is of utmost importance. So today it's good we are coming to face-to-face communication again. In regards to your question, Kairat, yes, realistically we have more than 500 departments. We are the branchiest network out of all financial systems. Today we are developing the so-called Halyk ecosystem. My opinion is that this is business in the principle. And it is clear that if we talk about Almaty, Astana, Shymkent, I mean the big cities from the standpoint of coverage. I mean convenience, online delivery, payment, all those things. From the standpoint of population density, they happen in the big cities. This is the market, and that's how it is developing. If to talk about smaller communities and settlements, of course we have settlements where unfortunately we still do not have good quality internet communication, and today this is probably the main catalyst that could augment the development of cashless economy. Today, if I'm not mistaken, 80% is cashless in Kazakhstan. 3 to 4 years ago, before the pandemic, it was only 35%. Today it's 80%. It's been 4 years only, and if we compare it to what was 10 years ago, we can see telegraphic expansion. And of course the pandemic augmented the development of digital space. But I think that as long as our infrastructure, including infrastructure in smaller settlements, is not big enough, it does not offer enough magnitude and scale for us to satisfy all of our digital demands to full. So the situation will be orbiting around cash economy. So this is the main barrier, infrastructure. So you think our infrastructure is not fully developed? Yes, of course, I think so. I was a governmental official as well. I know the dark side of the moon. And we have 2 to 3,000 settlements not covered by internet. The government has a plan for it, but the plan is still underway. And when we have 4G good internet everywhere, then the business will enter those settlements. And when I pay visit to provinces, I can see that the population is mature to consume new financial services. All they are missing is just infrastructure and facilities. I fully agree. Thank you very much. The next question goes to Aidos Zhumagulov. Well, as it seems to me, Freedom Bank positions itself as a fintech entity, and I understand you have a very good product, digital mortgage. So I remember the reaction to that mortgage in the back when somebody said that all the major bargains should be cashless. We had active discussions in Kazakhstan. I know today's civilized world are raising that issue. So the fact that you today are entering complicated projects, does it mean that you see a lot of high potential there? So what motivated you to go digital, to go complicated? Thank you very much for your question. Good day to everybody. Yes, realistically, we position ourselves as a fintech bank and not for free. This is not a tribute to fashion. The development of digital banking and cashless transaction is closely connected to the market regulation. In Kazakhstan, we have very unique state service sector. There are 3 big compounds to it which allow financial organizations to construct very complicated products, for example, mortgage and others. So one of such moments is the standardized database. Private companies manage to standardize all private databases, and because of the unique ID, every person receives the access to great volume of data that helps to enrich scoring models as well as the ecosystem itself, that helps to abandon paperwork for electronic processing. Basically, a lot of convenience. Another big story present in the market is the remote identification of a client. Because we have all appropriate facilities, you can set up accounts while being elsewhere. So, and the third part, the electronic signature coming from the National Certification Center. Basically, that also allows to sign any document being in a remote place. So these are the 3 components for online activity. There we envisage a lot of potential for the development of digitalization in Kazakhstan because all the products are unique, not only in Kazakhstan, they are unique in the world. And today we have opportunity to design some good products. Before commissioning products, we research. For example, we have digital mortgage, but no other country has it the way we do. That allows us to build up various hypotheses that helps us to trial various modules of transferring people from offline to online regime. So today we can see a lot of association with taxation, development of international payment systems. That is a mandatory thing, because if we take a look at our neighbors like Uzbekistan or Kyrgyzstan, they have one approach. We have our own processing tools that helps us to be more flexible. Today we can see that more than 85% of our plastic cards are in digital format. So today you can have a plastic card and a digital card, and 85% of clients today prefer digital cards, only because our efforts conveyed the development impulse, the momentum to that process. Nariman has already said that 80% of all transactions are cashless. This is a unique thing. Last year we had 74%, this year it's 81%. Yes, of course, the majority of them are P2P, not purely commercial transactions, but at least this is something without cash. People avail themselves of mobile banking, and here a tribute must be paid to Kaspi Bank for their contribution to the market development. The Kaspi Bank cultivated a new habit among the population, and well, pay attention to how post-terminal services are growing. Last year we had 320,000. This year we have 560,000. Big fintech players are coming to Kazakhstan. Google Play, Samsung Play, and others. They are operating in our cities, inspiring us to create our own digital products, as long as we have a favorable climate for that. Thank you. Thank you. Calum, the next question goes to you. I know that you've been seriously re-engineering your own platform in your bank, your applications and the management and governance process. You had to mobilize a number of managing companies. So you are doing a lot. You personally are doing a lot to improve the financial literacy. Can you tell us? I know that BCC Invest is a major managing company in Kazakhstan, and today Center Credit Bank, to attract more people, are going digital. What do you do to involve more people into cashless processes and transactions? Not to only spend money, but invest money. How do you encourage people to invest money into cashless economy? Thank you very much. Interesting question. Good day to everybody. Very interesting panel discussion. Greetings and thanks to organizers, to the sponsors. So what did I want to tell us? Kazakhstan is in the top list of the countries with cashless economy. Here we are probably one of the most developed countries. Recently I attended USA, and not in everywhere store can you enjoy a cashless transaction. So infrastructurally, organizationally, Kazakhstan today is ahead of the USA. Aidos, Nariman, Christina already have enumerated the key reasons for that. Today, we have more than 80% of cashless transactions, but the remaining 20 shall be tougher to conquer. Why? Because there are certain fundamental things that will be a challenge to make. The first thing is the gray economy. We still have black market, and it affects our cash operations. The more we develop as a country, the more people will we involve into cashless.
В безналичных операциях. Вторая часть
The second part, the second newest is the financial literacy. Unfortunately, our population cannot boast high financial literacy, and as a bank, we are investing a lot. We think that children should be explained starting from the childhood. That's why today we have a special application, Junior Bank, involving more than 100,000 children. Every month we have lessons dedicated to financial literacy. Sometimes I give lectures myself. So the objective here is to involve children, for them to understand the basics of the banking business. What is investment, credit, loan, what is cash, what is cashless, what the new technologies are like. So when they graduate from school, particularly that is topical for rural areas, they will have appropriate skills. And the second group of people that have been left unattended, those are pensioners, retired people. They are outside of the trend. That is why they find it problematic to acquire knowledge in the sphere. Every Saturday we invite pensioners to our tea parties, in the course of which we inform them about available new instruments, applications, cashless economy, other transactions, digital instruments. And the third scope of activity I deem necessary for development, that is infrastructure. We still need to develop our infrastructure, and I think in that particular sphere the development must be reciprocal. Not only the government must contribute. In this case, we need some regulatory technologies that will help us to abandon the heavy infrastructure, some nuances that make our life burdensome. And by introducing new technologies, particularly cashless technologies, we will liberate businessmen from many things. For example, cash machines, necessity to register cash machines. Today we are building a parallel infrastructure supposed to substitute cash machines, and thus we are reducing infrastructure expenditures. So the infrastructure development should be given to the banks, and the development of the light technology, soft POS, tap to phones, basically mobile phones become as the payment hubs. Today any businessman can accept payments on the smartphone and dispatch payments from the smartphone, and that is particularly topical for small villages where we have a lot of private entrepreneurs. And rural areas is the place where we can increase the volume of cashless transactions in the country. And another moment I wanted to talk about, it seems to me that in future attention shall be paid to digital currencies. I think that national banks already are moving in that direction. Decentralized currencies will be some kind of analog to substitute cash operations because they have the same functions as the cash, security and anonymity. Anonymity that allows to keep a person anonymous. So I think that this is 3 to 10 years from now. And another nuance we are looking at is the trust to the banking system in general. That is important. That sometimes curbs the development of cashless economics. In the times of crisis, people withdraw cash to keep it at home. And taking that into consideration, it seems to me that we need a more massive information of the population about availability of insurance instruments that will allow every person not to lose your money. And sometimes we share information about how much money people lose because they keep the money at home. This is to encourage people to keep money in the banks where we have all instruments to protect the money of our clients. This is it on my side. Thank you very much. Thank you. A very broad band of affairs. Ayjan, next question goes to you. I left you to conclude the end to our today's discussions. Before you, people were talking for the banks, for financial institutions. You are a certain disruptor in the market. What do you think? That particular trend, is it in your favor? Or alternatively, maybe it makes your life more complicated? Basically, technological development, does it help you as a small business, or do you still... Yes, Kairat, thank you very much for your question. When I was introducing myself, I said that it would be boring if we had big banks, because the fintech is the one who is supposed to bring some spice. Our project simply is a fintech project. It's a payment organization. 1 year ago, together with Visa, we announced our launch, a new digital card integrated with mobile financial service in Kazakhstan. Nobody before had that. It was a novelty. And Visa did support us and still proceeds to support ourselves. So we did realize 1 year ago that we have 22 major banks in Kazakhstan, plus 90 payment organizations. So we do understand that the market, that the financial market in the country, in Kazakhstan, is highly competitive. That's why when we were declaring the product, we knew where we were going. And Pay Advice FinTech does know where we are going. In 1 year, we had approximately 900,000 citizens of Kazakhstan registered in our system. We gave them a digital product available from a smartphone. You need not to pay physical visits to the bank. So our advantage is that we are highly mobile. Fintech works. Fintech does not discuss. Colleagues in the market are running research, spending time for other admin questions, but fintech works. Time to market, speed of introduction of new digital instruments to us is more simple than for big financial institutions. Of course, the factor of success and competitiveness is in technologies as well. The same situation is with us. all the client service must be in the digital sphere, starting from registration and ending with the financial service itself. And the next factor, the next secret of our competitiveness is the human resource we dispose of. Basically, in our company, we have people capable of providing an in-house product. Those are Kazakh citizens, people who studied here and abroad. These are fresh people, people whose mind is not distorted by the work in big companies. We have only 16 people on board now, 16 individuals, 16 software designers. They are enthusiasts. They love digital and cashless economy. So as I've said, we are mobile and we are very maneuvering. Things happen faster with us. We don't have any interior restrictions. We don't need to attend a lot of meetings and boards. So our competitive advantage is the speed. So yes, when we were entering the market, we knew where we were going. And the final decision is to be made by the client. If a client sees the advantages in our product, the client will stay with us. So I think fintech makes competition healthier, breathing, and the client shall decide himself where to go. If today we have 85% of transactions in the cashless format, in the online format, then for a mobile operator like our company, communicating with the client is more convenient and easier because we communicate with the client through the smartphone. This is our another competitive advantage compared to big players. Okay, wonderful. Can you tell us a small comment after public service? Probably your life has gotten much better. Well, I have worked in the bank and I am happy that I have liberated myself from the burden. Colleagues, my observations I want to share. We work in many markets, you probably know, and I would like to report the situation from the in-house standpoint. I want to tell us what makes Kazakh market totally different, banking market. It's the banking sector. I mean, the classical banks and the fintech banks are comparable to each other's. I mean, from the standpoint of the speed of introduction of novelties, and each of the banks present here, as well as the banks present in the market, are progressing equally and significantly, despite all complexities they encounter in their practices from the administrative and organizational point of view. That makes Kazakh banks totally different from other countries. Okay, thank you very much. We have some time left, so I would still like to remind that today we have people acting and voting for cashless economy, people who strive to build up a cashless economy. However, the topic is there still room for cash in Kazakhstan? I know that in the developed countries, they are thinking about protecting the cash. Why? Because there is a certain category of people who need cash. For example, in France and Sweden, it is legally prohibited to reject the cash. It's a big problem in Sweden, for example. So in Sweden, you have very advanced users of financial services, but also you have old schoolers who prefer cash. So this is turning into a problem. What do you think? Do we need to protect cashless economy, or do we have to protect the cash, or do we need to fully abandon the cash? And by the way, our national bank have their own digital platform. So what do you think? To me, the question is quite simple. To me, to my company, this is a question of convenience and competition. If we can make it, and we already have, because 80% people today operate on cashless base. So if we make things fast, safe, reliable, then there will be no reasons to resort to cash. Of course, there will be certain exceptions and exclusions, and that is okay. Sometimes people need cash, and they must be capable of availing themselves to use the cash. Now you tell me about Sweden, where they face necessity to protect the cash. Why? Only because cashless economy is more convenient. So here this is the question of competition and convenience. If we can ensure that people will go for it. And here we have another nonetheless important question, that is the economic transparency. And this is when transparency is not only convenience, this is a matter of strategic consideration. I'm most confident, colleagues, you know that there is a research that the transfer of 1% of transaction from cash to cashless stimulates the GDP boosting up. And that only indicates how important it is to struggle the black market and gray economy. So here things orbit around the cash. So the first pillar here is the convenience, the solutions that we are offering, the products, they are convenient. And the second pillar is the weighted good balance politics of the government to struggle the black market and gray economy. So here cashless must be fully and closely associated with priorities of the government. Okay, more questions. Do you think that P2P transactions should be made equal to cash? No. P2P is a transfer. It's a cashless transfer of funds, the one that is tracked.
Another thing is that the proper use of P2P transactions must be ensured, because the distortions in the economy due to the P2Ps that could be used for an abusing purpose by like replacing the payments to retailers, and those are the issues of taxation. So the proper regulation here would enable us to achieve some order in those issues and use P2P transactions for service and retailers, but with proper flags, with proper documenting, so that they could be taken into account as a turnover for taxation. IDOS. The same two questions. Is there a place for cash? Do we need to protect cash? And do you think that P2P remittances are cashless or cash? But P2P, I've already mentioned that about 80% of remittances are P2P. Of course, they are cashless, but there must be a proper step to make. The next step is to legalize it so that the P2P could be used for e-commerce. So the most part of the work has been done. It is already cashless. As for the cash, I support Christina's opinion, and her answer has been quite exhaustive. We must move towards non-cash payments. It is related to the development of our economy. Apologies, you are echoing each other. I understand that. But do you think that we need to protect cash? Or do you think we should fully transition to non-cash? I don't see what to protect it from. I don't see any barriers for cash. There are those 20%, and we need to fight for them, as Galim said. We need to build the proper processes, the proper products. What are those 20%? I think they're mostly in the regions, villages, small railway stations. For instance, I was born in a village on a railway station. There were several thousand citizens, and you could take products at a store, writing down your debt into a special log. Now, instead of a log, every client has a page number in this log. So kind of Kaizen has already been implemented. So you think it's too early. It's not about being early or not. We need to go there. But the way of going there is a big strategic question. I think with the tempo we have right now, we will be there soon. Aijan, I can see Kairat looking at the timer. So first thing, protecting cash, as the colleagues said, is useless right now. There is no threat. And I would be surprised if any of us would say that in Kazakhstan right now we need to protect cash. Well, and the current stage of evolution and the level of development of our digital products, there is no need to protect the cash. Gollum? I believe that across the globe, the ban of anything would only lead to negative feedback. Competition is the best driver. Let cash compete with non-cash. It's sad, but back in bloody January, everyone was looking for cash. Today, it's really difficult to make transborder transactions with Russia. People withdraw cash and go to Russia. So we need to develop our technology and resolve the issues that I have mentioned. About P2P remittances, it's an account-to-account payment. It just needs a proper legal documentation and a special legal provision for that. It's just the will of our government that would make it legit, and this is how we can decrease the shadow economy. Thank you for remembering the January. Many people told me about January. I am a non-cash proponent, purely non-cash proponent, and many adduced this argument of January to me. Talking about cash, we don't need to protect it, but as Galim said, I would like to echo too. In any big organization, in any bank, there is a certain action plan in case all the systems fail. And I think we need the same at the country level without protecting cash, but using competition benefits and carrots, pushing the competitors towards non-cash, but retaining some lever just in case. I remember that I haven't been carrying cash for a long time, and early January, I remember looking for some coins where you put into some, money pig. I understand that there must be a plan B, like a button that the government may push and ensure all the necessary payments in a cash format or some different format in case systems fail. As for P2P, I fully agree that it must be that it is cashless. There is no cash. When some people that this P2P payment is illicit, it is not exactly a payment, it's a remittance. But, there is no difference when you do it on the market. It's either cash or non-cash. If you give me a check, it's legal. When you do it, a remittance via a mobile app, it's just transfer of money, either as cash or non-cash. So you agree that it is equal to cash. Well, from the point of view of cash turnover, it's not equal. But if payment, it's the same. I fully agree. I would like to thank all of the participants. This has been really interesting. I hope the audience liked it too.